Step into the realm of Dostoevsky's literary brilliance, where every quote is a doorway into the complexities of the human psyche and the beauty of profound expression. Pain and suffering are always inevitable for a large intelligence and a deep heart. The really great men must, I think, have great sadness on earth. Man grows used to everything, the scoundrel. The greatest happiness you can have is knowing that you do not necessarily require happiness. It was not the money I valued. What I wanted was to make them know that they could not do as they pleased. It is not the brains that matter most, but that which guides them. The character, the heart, generous qualities, progressive ideas. If you want to overcome the whole world, overcome yourself. It takes something more than intelligence to act intelligently. Power is given only to those who dare to lower themselves and pick it up. Only one thing matters. One thing. To be able to dare. The darker the night, the brighter the stars, the deeper the grief, the closer is God. People talk to you a great deal about your education, but some good, sacred memory preserved from childhood is perhaps the best education. In his earlier years, he was always wanting to do more than he could, and now he found he could do almost anything he pleased. But alas, he had nothing to do. A man takes pride in thinking that he is afraid of nobody, but the man he fears most is himself. A man who has a conscience suffers whilst acknowledging his sin. That is his punishment, as well as prison. I am a dreamer. I know so little of real life that I just can't help reliving such moments as these in my dreams. For such moments are something I have very rarely experienced. But here begins a new accounting period of which I should like to give you a brief account. Here, I repeat, you have the whole history of life, its pinnacle, its summit, and at the same time its termination. It has reached its highest point. It begins to topple over to its downfall, to self-destruct, and so to speak, it begins to eat up itself. I was afraid of your death. I thought of it in the night. It is not the idea of death that is so frightening to me, but the idea of a corpse. It's easier for me to love mankind in general than one person in particular. It's not the law that I reproach myself with, but my cowardice. I have a great deal of pride, for I can see no grounds for it. I love mankind, he said, but I find to my amazement that the more I love mankind as a whole, the less I love man in particular. Man is fond of counting his troubles, but he does not count his joys. I may be only a fisherman's daughter, and my whole soul may be in the fisherman's cottage, and yet it takes a clever man to turn all these disadvantages into an education. I carried off my talents to the marketplace and sold them. Crime? What cream? My killing a loathsome, harmful louse, a filthy old moneylender woman who brought no good to anyone, to murder whom would pardon any sins, and who first of all was guilty of the death of my children. That's what I punished. That's what I crushed. I am a scoundrel, an egoist, a depraved creature. I am wicked. I am a depraved creature with a heart full of depravity. Man is broad, too broad indeed. I'd have him narrower. To go wrong in one's own way is better than to go right in someone else's. You see, you know, it's all to do with your being young. You are young, and I am old. And what if I am wrong? He cried suddenly after a moment's thought. What if man is not really a scoundrel? Man in general. I mean the whole race of mankind. Then all the rest is prejudice, simply artificial terrors, and there are no barriers, and it's all as it should be. To be a human being among human beings and remain one forever, no matter what misfortunes befall, not to become depressed and not to falter. This is what life is. Herein lies its task. Man has it all in his hands, and it all slips through his fingers from sheer cowardice. 100 suspicions don't make a proof. To love is to suffer, and there can be no love otherwise. It is not possible to eat me without insisting that I sing praises of my devourer. Why should the phenomenon of digestion be more real than that of which it is the means? The best definition of man is a being that goes on two legs and is ungrateful. I think the devil doesn't exist, but man has created him. He has created him in his own image and likeness. The man who has a conscience suffers whilst acknowledging his sin. That is his punishment, as well as prison. All is in the hands of man. Therefore, wash them often. Man is a creature that can get accustomed to anything, and I think that is the best definition of him. A man sees in the world what he carries in his heart. It is not the brains that matter most, but that which guides them. The character, the heart, generous qualities, progressive ideas.